the 1970s, when we didn't know a lot about child abuse and neglect, and Dr. Kemp was starting programs at the center. I was hired out of restaurant management to come take care of the food needs for the various programs. And I was told two things: don't be perfect, and make the place feel like home. So to feel like home, for me, I thought of the smell of fresh cookies. So every morning I baked fresh cookies and filled the cookie jar in the kitchen at the center. And the kitchen was the only place in the building for people to get coffee or other things. And so the cookie jar was very much for the staff as well as the clients. But Dr. Kemp said the cookie jar was a good barometer of how things were going at the center, because he said, knowing that it was full every morning, if he came in the afternoon and it was still half full, he thought there must not be much work getting done. If he came in at the end of the day and there were just a couple left, he thought things must be going pretty well. But if it was completely empty at noon, he thought people must be really stressed out, because he very much believed you had to take care of people if they were going to be able to take care of other people, just as he believed the parents had to be taken care of to become able to take care of their kids, right? But there's lots of food stories that over the years from the center. And the first one really was from Henry, when he said, as a pediatrician first noticing abused children, he had a candy jar in his office, and most of his patients, when they came to see him, they would see the candy jar on the shelf, and they would say, can I have some? And he'd say, when we're done. So when they were done, he would get the jar down, and they would take a piece of candy and go home. He said he noticed that the abused and neglected children would look at the jar, but wouldn't ask. So he thought things were getting better when they would ask. But then when he got the jar down, they would try to take a whole handful and maybe want to stuff their pocket and take more. Right? So he thought things were getting better as the handful got smaller. And he knew things were better when they offered him one. And that story really was repeated more or less in every part of the work we ever did. That we saw parents and kids come in afraid to ask for help, then become able to ask for help, and just want to suck you dry, just take everything, and then gradually become less needy and then able to meet the needs of others. So that really was the trickle-down theory that we started programs operating from, right? So the same cookie jar is still in our break room at the center, and it's still full of cookies. It's not homemade cookies anymore, but it's still there in memory of Dr. Kemp's belief that cookies were important. And he used to go and have lunch with our preschool children once a month, every month. And they had the little wooden chairs. And he would sit at the little table on the little wooden chair with the kids while he ate his lunch. And he would always tell them that he was the original Cookie Monster. And the kids loved to have him come for lunch, right? But yeah, over the years, many food stories, as we saw with every population that we worked with, how they came and were needy, and whether it was with the food or with the help. But a lot of times the concrete nurturance attached to food was really where we began, right? And it's the most concrete sign of nurturance that we experience from the time we're born.